Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be discussing the very real possibility of the world going cashless. I'll be sharing my thoughts and also showcasing the pros and cons of getting rid of cash completely. I heard this a little while back and then I heard it yet again on the news just a day or two ago. Upon hearing this idea a second time in a little more detail, it got me thinking about whether only allowing transactions via our cards, smartwatches, phones, and other technical devices is a good thing or not. We all know by now that technology is taking over the world, with the majority of people having multiple devices as part of their everyday lives. Now, I think it's safe to say that the development of technology has led us to some amazing discoveries. And although it has some downfalls, it has become apparent that having the latest technological devices is quite a massive need and want for many members of our modern world. Before diving into some positives and negatives of today's topic, let's briefly discuss how Sweden in particular currently deal with payments. Across the globe, it's apparent that cashless transactions make up the majority of transactions, and some places are already taking steps to go cashless. In Sweden, cash transactions make up only around 15% of all retail sales, and many shops in Sweden simply no longer accept cash. Approximately 80% of Swedes use a card to pay for any kind of purchase, and many don't even carry cash on them at all anymore. Many also use a popular app called Swish for their transactions too. It's heavily thought that Sweden could be the first, or indeed one of the first, to become completely cashless in the near future. China is also becoming increasingly interested in becoming cashless. However, instead of using an app to purchase items like they do in Sweden, the Chinese are obsessed with using scannable QR codes to complete their purchases. It's said that Japan and Finland are also beginning to embrace these codes too. Here in the United Kingdom, we use contactless the majority of the time, even if it's only for a very small payment of £1 or £2. So it's interesting to see how different parts of the world have begun to turn cashless, and which places embrace certain ways of completing their transactions. But of course, there's good and bad to going cashless, so we shall discuss some here. One major problem with the world leaving cash payments behind is that those who either do not like to use technology for their finances, or those who cannot use the available technology for their finances, will simply get left behind and could struggle to make payments and handle their finances. For example, a lot of the elderly and other vulnerable people like the disabled. Other negatives with a cashless society is not being able to have an alternative source of money if someone hacks into your bank account and drains all of your money from it. I personally believe that it's a good idea to have a backup plan in place just in case something like this happens. In the case of money, we currently have cash as a backup in case something goes wrong with our technological options. If we remove cash from our society, we will not have a backup source of money to turn to. This, of course, makes the consequences of hacking or a data breach even more upsetting and stressful. The effects and consequences of that happening can be even more detrimental. Banks and technologies are also not immune to suffering from their own technological difficulties. So a simple glitch in the system somewhere would leave everyone with no way to access their money, purchase something, or make other important payments. In terms of the benefits of getting rid of cash, there could possibly be less crime, like for example getting mugged or someone stealing something from you, as there's no physical cash for someone to take. It could be easier to exchange currencies and to deal with international transactions. There will also be less of a cost in terms of dealing with cash, for example printing it, handling it and storing it. But perhaps the most noticeable positive to come from becoming a cashless society is that it will typically become easier for the consumer to pay for items, apart from the few exceptions that we've discussed earlier. As you can see, like most ideas and possibilities, Going cashless has its own positives and negatives, and it's definitely worth looking into how this could affect you if or when this happens. I'm personally very much on the fence with this one, due to what we've discussed in this video so far, but I am curious to hear your thoughts on going cashless. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you not? Here in the UK, where contactless payments are ruling, if we were to introduce the way of a cashless society, I think we would have to get rid of contactless. I don't believe cashless would work if contactless was still a thing for us here. I think that there's many possibilities which need to be addressed before we fully get rid of cash, and it's not something that we should take lightly. Many things need to change before going cashless. And one of the biggest things that's making me a little uneasy at the idea is that many vulnerable people like the elderly will simply get left behind if we get rid of cash. Not to mention that shouldn't people be able to pay in a way that they wish to pay, in the way that they want to pay? Whether that be cash, card, smartwatch, mobile, or even via an app. Isn't the variety that we currently have a good thing? But with all of that being said, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts on a cashless society. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you are new here, click on that subscribe button. Thank you for watching once again, and I hope to see you in my next video.